Hello boys and girls. Today's video is going to be adding and subtracting fractions with like denominators. This is the beginning of our new chapter, so it's a fairly easy concept. Now, when we're adding and subtracting fractions with like denominators, it's fairly simple. If I start with 1/3 and I add 1/3, from the picture, you should be able to see what we have. What do we end up with? In our picture, do we have 2/6 or do we have 2/3? Well, we have 2/3 because we have 3 pieces and I shaded in 2 of them. So I have 2/3. The most important thing for us to remember when we're adding and subtracting fractions is that we don't add and subtract the denominator, because our denominator is not what we have. The denominator only tells us the size of our pieces. So it wouldn't make sense to add and subtract when you're just talking about the number that's telling you the size. Remember, when you're adding and subtracting, you're talking about putting together or taking apart what you actually have. And our numerator tells us what we actually have, so we only want to work with that. So that's a pretty simple diagram to show that. So let's just do a couple practices of adding fractions with like denominators. This is really simple. It gets a lot more complicated later on. So if I have 4/9 and 3/9, I don't want to add the 9ths because that's just telling me that my pieces are in 9ths. And then I add my numerator because that's what I have. I have 4 and I have 3, so I have a total of 7/9. Let's try another example. What happens if we have 6/12 and 3/12? Remember, our 12ths are just telling us what size our pieces are, not how much we have. So when they're like, it's easy. You just say, I'm still working in 12ths, and I have 6 of them, and I have 3 of them, which gives me 9. Now when you see 9/12ths, you should know that you can simplify that, and we always want to simplify our answers. So we can divide these both by 3, and we get 3/4 for our answer. Now let's look at what happens when we try to subtract fractions with like denominators. Let's go ahead and look at our same picture. This time we start with 2/3, and I'm going to subtract 1/3 away. Remember, my denominator is not how much I have, it is the size of my pieces. When we're subtracting, we are taking a group and taking away some of that group. And what do we have is our numerators, not in our denominators. So if I have 2/3 and I take away 1/3, I have left 1/3. 2 minus 1 is 1, and my denominators are just telling me the size of my pieces. So I have 1/3. So let's look at a couple examples without drawing the picture. What if we have 9/11 minus 4/11? Remember, our numerator is what we have, our denominator is just telling us the size of our pieces. So our pieces are thankfully the same. It's nice and easy. Our pieces are going to stay the same, and we just do 9 minus 4 is 5. 9/11 take away 4/11 is 5/11. Let's look at this example. Eight ninths minus 4/9 gives me 4/9. Because 8 minus 4 is 4, and I get to stay in my same size pieces. One more example. 8/9 minus 5/9, which gives us, remember our denominator stays the same because that's just telling us the size of our pieces. ninths. 8 minus 5 is 3. So then we see that 3 ninths, and hopefully you recognize right away, you can do that in simplest form. If you do it to the bottom, you got to do it to the top. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 9 divided by 3 is 3. And my answer is 1/3. 8 ninths minus 5 ninths is 1/3. So that's how we add and subtract fractions with like denominators. Like I said, this is the really easy one, but we need to build that firm foundation that we have to have the same denominator in order to add them, because we have to add them with the same sizes. Watch the video as many times as you need to in order to understand the subject.